The Kennebec potato. You might not know the name, but you've probably eaten it dozens of times. It's in your potato chips, your French fries, that bag of potatoes at the grocery store labeled simply all-purpose potatoes. Home gardeners swear by it. Commercial growers plant thousands of acres. And in Tasmania, Australia, it's so beloved that they built a 10-meter-tall tribute to it. Meet Kenny the Kennebec, also known as the Big Spud, a 10-meter-tall potato sculpture that welcomes visitors to potato country. This is the story of how a potato bred in a Maine laboratory became a global workhorse and earned a giant tribute on the other side of the world. The Kennebec story begins in 1948 at the USDA breeding program in Presque Isle, Maine. The USDA was on a mission: create the perfect all-purpose potato, one that could handle multiple cooking methods, resist disease, produce reliably, and satisfy both commercial growers and home gardeners. They crossed two experimental lines, USDA 96 to 56 and USDA B127. The result was released in 1948 and named after the Kennebec River, which flows through Maine. The timing was perfect. Post-World War II America was industrializing its food system. Frozen foods were becoming popular. French fry consumption was exploding. They needed a versatile potato that could handle it all. Kennebec spread rapidly. By the 1960s, it was one of the most widely planted varieties in North America. Commercial growers loved its reliability. Home gardeners loved its versatility. And then it went international. To Australia, to New Zealand, to South America, anywhere that had the right climate for potato growing. So what does a Kennebec actually look like? Skin: buff to light tan-colored, smooth with minimal russeting. The skin is thin enough to eat but thick enough to handle commercial processing. Shape and size: oval to oblong, typically medium to large. Commercial Kennebecs are usually 6 to 10 ounces, though homegrown can be larger or smaller depending on spacing. Flesh: bright white interior. The texture is smooth and moist but not watery, that perfect medium starch balance. Eyes: shallow, which is excellent for both peeling, minimal waste, and for home gardeners, easier to prepare seed potatoes. Kennebec can be confused with other buff-skin varieties, but it's typically smoother and more uniformly oval than russets, and lighter colored than Yukon Golds. The genius of Kennebec is in its starch content, 16 to 18%, right in the all-purpose zone. What all-purpose means: baking good, not as fluffy as a russet, but perfectly acceptable. The slightly higher moisture content means they won't dry out. Mashing: excellent. Creates smooth, creamy mashed potatoes without the gluey risk of waxy potatoes or the demanding technique of russets. Roasting: excellent. Gets good browning and crispiness on edges while staying creamy inside. Frying: very good. Not quite the fluffy interior of russets for fries, but Kennebec makes excellent chips and acceptable fries. Many commercial operations use them. Boiling: good. Holds shape reasonably well for potato salads and stews, though not as firm as true waxy varieties. This is why Kennebec became so popular. One potato, multiple uses. You don't need 3 different varieties in your pantry. Kennebec handles most applications competently. Now let's talk about Kenny. Kenny the Kennebec, officially known as the Big Spud, stands 10 meters, 33 feet, tall in the small town of Sassafras, Tasmania. He's painted to look like a Kennebec potato, complete with a cheerful face. Built in the 1980s, Kenny was created to cheekily promote a roadside potato stall in the potato-growing region. Australians have a tradition of big things, oversized sculptures celebrating local products. There's the big banana, the big prawn, the big merino, sheep, and dozens more. Kenny is Tasmania's contribution to this uniquely Australian phenomenon. For Sassafras, population around 350 people, Kenny is more than kitsch. He's a symbol of the potato industry that sustains the region. He has been a well-known fixture for the past 40 years for those that have traveled on the Baz Highway between Devonport and Launceston. Kenny has become surprisingly famous. He's all over Instagram. In 2023, he became fodder for memes when large winds toppled him over. This led to a restoration effort, and in 2024 he was back again greeting people to northwest Tasmania. But Kenny isn't just a quirky photo opportunity. He stood in honor of the potato farmer who first created him, being part of his funeral in 2023. He represents something real, Tasmania's incredibly successful potato industry, where Kennebec potatoes are a cornerstone variety. So why Tasmania? Why did Kennebec become so important there? Tasmania is essentially potato paradise. Climate: cool, temperate, with consistent rainfall. Perfect for potatoes which prefer cooler growing conditions. Soil: rich, well-draining volcanic soils in many regions. Excellent natural fertility and structure. Disease pressure: lower than mainland Australia and many other growing regions. Tasmania's island isolation helps maintain disease-free status for many potato pathogens. Although in recent months a virus called mop top, a fungus-borne disease in soil, has caused major concerns. The numbers: over 400,000 tons of potatoes produced annually. Grows 31% of Australia's potato crops. Worth over $300 million to Tasmania's economy. Employs thousands in growing, processing, and distribution. Kennebec became a staple of Tasmanian potato farming because versatility: one variety handling multiple market needs, fresh, processing, frozen. Reliability: consistent yields and quality year after year. Disease resistance, particularly to late blight, which devastated other varieties. Market reputation: Tasmania's clean, disease-free status makes their potatoes valuable for seed and export markets. Kennebec's reputation traveled with them. Today, while Tasmanian growers have diversified into many varieties, Kennebec remains important, especially for processing and export markets. Whether you're in Tasmania or Toledo, here's what you need to know about growing Kennebec. Climate: cool season crop preferring temperatures between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit during growing season. Handles cooler climates better than heat. Soil: prefers loose, well-draining soil with pH 5 to 7, needs good looseness for proper tuber development. Compacted soil produces misshapen potatoes. Maturity: 80 to 100 days from planting to harvest. Mid-season variety. Spacing: 12 inches apart in rows, 30 to 36 inches between rows. Proper spacing affects final potato size. Yield: expect 8 to 12 potatoes per plant with good conditions. Kennebec is a reliable producer. Why home gardeners love Kennebec? Easy to grow for beginners. Forgiving of imperfect conditions. Stores reasonably well, 3 to 4 months in proper conditions. One variety handles multiple cooking needs. Consistent results year after year. One of Kennebec's major advantages: disease resistance. Late blight resistance. Kennebec has moderate to good resistance to late blight, the disease that caused the Irish potato famine. This was revolutionary in the 1940s and remains valuable today. Commercial benefit: less spraying needed equals lower costs and more sustainable production. Scab resistance also shows good resistance to common scab, maintaining skin quality. Processing advantages: uniform sizing, makes commercial processing efficient. Less waste, more consistent product. Low reducing sugars, doesn't develop excessive sugars in storage, preventing overly dark frying results. Critical for chip and fry production. This combination, disease resistance, processing quality, versatility, made Kennebec valuable worldwide. From Maine to Tasmania to South America, growers adopted it because it simply works. From a USDA breeding program in 1948 to a 10-meter sculpture in Tasmania, the Kennebec has earned its place in potato history. Kenny the Kennebec isn't just a quirky roadside attraction. He's a tribute to a variety that helped build Tasmania's potato industry, to reliable genetics that fed millions, to agricultural research that actually worked. Today, Kennebec faces competition from newer varieties with specific advantages, but it persists because versatility never goes out of style. For home gardeners, Kennebec remains an excellent choice. One variety, multiple uses, proven performance over 75 years. For commercial growers, especially in regions with late blight pressure, Kennebec's disease resistance still matters. Not every potato needs to be revolutionary. Sometimes being consistently good at everything is enough. And sometimes, being consistently good gets you a 33-foot-tall tribute in Tasmania. If you enjoyed this journey from Maine to Tasmania, hit that like button and subscribe for more potato variety deep dives. Check out my other potato variety videos. Each one has its own unique story. Until next time, appreciate your potatoes. And if you're ever in Tasmania, say hello to Kenny for me.